Welcome to Redizly. Today we're diving into another AITA story. If you're new here, AITA stands for Am I the Asshole? It's where the internet decides who's right and who's wrong in a massive drama. You'll hear terms like NTA, YTA, or ESH throughout the video. I've explained exactly what all of these mean in the description below, so check that out if you want to understand the full verdict. Now, let's get into today's story. Today, I started talking to an American mother. While in A&E, her child was interested in the artwork I have on my leather jacket, as it's pretty colorful. The mother mentioned that her daughter's name was Grain, so I assumed for a while that she was another mother who wanted something special to call her child. I remarked that it was a unique name and that I'd never met anyone called Grain before. She told me that she's named after her great-grandmother and that it's an Irish name. At this point, the alarm bells are ringing in my head because I've realized that the kid is called Grania, generally pronounced as Gronya or thereabouts. I tried to be very tactful, and I was like, Irish has such an interesting alphabet. How is her name spelled? Irish names can be tricky. The kid is called Grania, not Grain. My partner, who has studied Ireland's political history as part of their dissertation, and also the Irish diaspora and its culture around their university city, is stuck somewhere between stifling a laugh and dying of embarrassment on her behalf. So I come up with what I thought was a very positive reply. I said, an old school name and a more modern pronunciation. I think that's a great way to pick names. I would like to point out that I do not like the name Grain for a child, nor do I like the way the pronunciation was butchered, but I was trying to be tactful and positive. She asked what I meant, and I said, well, in Ireland, they typically pronounce it like Gronya. Her face went red and said that I shouldn't have said that the pronunciation was wrong in front of the kid, because now she's going to grow up knowing that her name is wrong and feel bad about it. I apologized for causing offense and restated that it's a lovely name in both ways and a fantastic nod to her heritage. I said that I'm sure her great-grandmother would be thrilled to be honored by her name being used. I was throwing out just about every positive reinforcement that I could think of, but, to be frank, she was pissed off. She told me that I ruined her daughter's self-esteem and that her life was ruined by me saying that her existence is wrong. I didn't say that, by the way. I said that her name was pronounced atypically. Grania, for context, was around 2 years old and completely unbothered by the conversation until her mother got angry at me. She was just looking at the pictures on my jacket. The conversation was maybe 5 minutes long, but I managed to ruin this kid's life. Hindsight says I should have kept my mouth shut and waited for somebody else in this city to say something. So, AITA? Now for our second case of the day. Remember to drop your verdict in the comments as we go. Second story. My friend, 19, downloaded dating apps like Tinder and Hinge for the first time about a week ago. For reference, she's the type that always says she wants a boyfriend, wants to do couple things, feels lonely single, etc. She's also, IMO at least, very normal and average looks-wise. Not ugly, not super hot, just all right. Since then, she's been complaining to me that almost all the men there are ugly, short, etc., and that she doesn't match with anybody hot. I asked to see which people she was calling ugly, and so she showed me her likes, and it mostly showed people perfectly in her league, as in moderately attractive guys. I told her that these guys were all in her league, and she should give some of them a chance since she always complains about wanting to be in a relationship. She denied that she's the same league as them and said that she's much more attractive than them. I pointed out that in her own words, she doesn't match with any of the guys she does find attractive, so she's not in their league. She said I was an AH. Am I? Time for story number 3. I honestly didn't know what to think when I first read this. Let's see if you can reach a verdict on this one. I have been married for 5 years with my wife, who I've met nearly 10 years ago. The thing is, she loves traveling, a lot, and she loves traveling on the date of her birthday. Last year we went to Maceió, Brazil, and had a great time. In May we had a month-long travel to Europe, where we visited some Greek island, Athens, a bunch of Spanish cities, and Paris. Her birthday is in a few days, and we had some long talks about traveling. Europe left us in debt, and some health issues left us with almost no savings. Also, we want to have children this year, and we need some medical assistance for that. That also costs money. I told her that maybe this year we cannot afford to travel anywhere. She didn't like it, but she agreed. But it turns out a few days ago, she snapped. She is now super angry because she is staying home for her birthday, that it doesn't matter what we discussed, she never said she don't want to travel, and that me, as her husband, should know what she wants for her birthday, and should have known that she wanted to travel either way and surprised her with some tickets. I really don't know how to diffuse the situation. I offered to buy some last-minute tickets anywhere, but now she doesn't want because she said I'd just be doing it because she forced me. Am I an asshole? Moving on to story number 4. This one actually divided the whole Reddit community. I decided to go ahead and call my grandparents to accept their offer to move in. During the phone call, I asked them why there was monthly payments being sent to my parents. Turns out, my parents were living beyond their means for a while because my mother quit her job to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. My grandparents decided to help out by sending them money monthly to help with my parents' mortgage and also to set aside some of that money for college savings for both my brother and I that was to be split evenly. Turns out, my parents only planned to put that savings towards my brother's college, and that's also how they bought his car as well. So from now on, my parents are now on their own financially. Likely my mother will have to go back to work to help my dad keep up the mortgage. I confronted my parents and asked why they've always treated my brother as the favorite, then asked if there was something I needed to know. Turns out there was. Nothing. Literally nothing. I'm not an affair baby, not even an unplanned pregnancy. They just liked my brother more. I was mad as hell, and we argued a lot before I left the room because I'd had enough. My grandparents showed up on Saturday with a moving truck. My parents were floored when we started bringing in boxes to pack. My father got in our way, and I reminded him how he said that I should move out, so I am. My mother cried some more and said that my father was just angry in the moment when he said that, and they had been counting on my rent money to help with my brother's college fund. I asked if that meant he would never have had to pay rent like I did when he turns 18. My father then said that since I was taking a gap year to work, then my rent money could have helped my brother, which means they never intended for him to get a job while going to college. My grandpa was enraged and confronted my father, saying he raised him better than this. He chewed him out, saying he's never been more disappointed in him, and they will no longer receive any more financial support. Then said he'd disown them both if they ever tried to retaliate against me for exposing them. My father backed down, and neither he or my mother said another word to me. I had a bit of an awkward conversation with my brother as we said our goodbyes to each other. And that was it. I just got in my car, waved, and drove off. I'm now fully moved into my new room at my grandparents' house. It's a little smaller, but nice. And my grandparents are very welcoming. I'm going to keep working hard to move forward from here, and I appreciate everyone's support.
Now for story number 5. It's getting wilder by the minute. Stick around for this one. I, 47M, have a son, 14M, from a previous marriage to my late wife. She passed 2 years ago, and for my son, the wound is still very fresh. My son and her were very close, as they look exactly alike and had a lot of the same interest in reading, history, and art. Their favorite place in the world is the British Museum in London. Their passion project has been redrawing pieces from the museum for the last 2 years before. For the last 4 years for my wife's birthday in June and my son's birthday in December, we go to England for a week so they can spend time in the museum. However, since she died, my son and I have continued going for his birthday. The problem is with my new wife, 39F. She's only been with us on this annual trip once last year, and she complained the whole time. Now, however, we recently found out we are expecting a child together in May. She raised it to my attention that the money I've used for the trip could be better used to be saved for the baby, and we could instead do something else for my son's birthday. I thought about it, and I agreed. I was worried how he'd take it, as this is the only thing he wants for his birthday. He doesn't ask for gifts or cake or a party. All he cares about is this goddamn museum. We broke the news to my son yesterday, and he flipped out. He was so upset. And when my wife tried to tell him why we were saving the money and where the money was going to, he said he didn't give a damn, and we got into an argument about it. He said he was upset because if he didn't go this year, he'd miss the new exhibit he'd been wanting to see, and he accused my wife of doing this on purpose because she already doesn't like me, he said. I admit I yelled at him, and he started crying, and for the last 24 hours, he hasn't spoken to me. Am I the asshole? Update. So a year ago, I, 48M, made a post online about the issue I was having with my son, 15M, and my new wife, 40F. I've gotten many messages and comments asking what happened, so I decided to make an update. So the big thing first, did I take my son on his birthday trip? No, but let me explain. So after my son and I got into a fight, he went and complained to his uncle, my late wife's older brother, 47M, and his husband, 47M. I'll go ahead and say that since my late wife got sick, and even after she died, her brother and I never got along. He, his husband, and most of her family like to judge me for how quickly I remarried. However, my son has kept a good relationship with them, and once he told them about what happened, they called and offered to take him themselves. I was all for it, but my wife was not. She thought if we let my son go with them, they'd fill his head with lies about her and only deepen the rift between us. Since this situation was causing her so much stress, and she was pregnant at the time, I decided to decline their offer, which only made things worse. Eventually, after about 3 days, we finally sat down and talked. He said he was unhappy with the way she was treating him and often felt like she was trying to erase his mom's touch from the house. He felt like she was constantly criticizing him and didn't want him around. When I confronted my wife about this, she was offended. She said she wasn't trying to erase his mother, but simply add her own touch to the space. She wasn't criticizing him, simply parenting. Eventually, my son accepted that he wouldn't be able to go on his trip and was noticeably bummed out about it. So his boyfriend and his friends spent his birthday at our house, trying to cheer him up. A sweet gesture, but I don't think it worked. Over the last year, my wife had our baby, and now that my son's birthday is approaching, he's become more bitter and resentful over what happened last year. He spends more time away from home. He's been rude and disrespectful to his stepmother, and been seeing his therapist more frequently, now that we've all adjusted to having a new baby, and my son's birthday is approaching again. I'm thinking if I should resume the tradition of taking my son back to the museum. I think it would be a good idea to hopefully do some family bonding, and honestly, I'm feeling really guilty about what happened last year. My wife has her reservations for saying it would only reward his bad behavior. I guess I'm making this update to not only inform the people of Reddit, but also ask for a little advice if it's allowed. What should I do? I only want to be a better dad. That's it for today's stories on Redizly. Which of these situations was the most insane to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read all of them. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss your dose of Reddit drama. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Voiceover generated by AI.